Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long was 1975. A using girls on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends. But Long was 1975.
Hey YouTube, Blonde Boys Post 1975, and welcome to the Wednesday vlog. Now this is something I wanted to talk about for absolutely ages. Since, Microsoft announced that Xbox One was going to be backward compatible with a specific group of, original Xbox games, and that they would be adding more, original Xbox games to it. As well as obviously the fact that it's backwards compatible with the 360. It was one of the reasons, that I bought my Xbox One, because it's funny, when I announced why I bought my Xbox One, I got loads of heat, which is, well, you must like, Xbox One's really small amount of exclusives to pick it over PlayStation 4, and it wasn't that. I've got absolutely nothing against PlayStation 4. This is just a quick recap. Certain consoles we purchased because they just work for the individual. It had the features that I want. I was fully aware that it was, not as powerful as the PlayStation 4, but I like Microsoft Online. I just like Microsoft consoles in general. So, it suited my needs, is what I should say. It wasn't a question of going for which had the most brute horsepower, or anything like that. But one of the clear reasons I went for it was its backwards compatibility. And that and the fact that obviously the original Xbox has got games now that will run on it in, shiny HD. Well, they ran shiny HD on the 360, to be fair. But they didn't run perfectly, because obviously it's emulation, it's not a hardware thing. There is no hardware in these systems to do it. Anyway, I'm waffling off topic, but it was a point that, or a reason I should say, that I wanted the Xbox One over the PlayStation 4 was the fact that it was backwards compatibility. And so I was explaining this to someone at work, and they couldn't get their head around why I, love backwards compatibility so much, why it's a brilliant thing for me. So it got me thinking, because this was more than one person actually. This was pretty much everyone who owned a PlayStation 4, or unless that was because they owned a PlayStation 4 and they'd never played an Xbox One or used backward compatibility. I don't know, I'm old, these people were young, excuse me, aspartame for my bones. But they simply couldn't understand that I love backwards compatibility so much. So it got me thinking, because right back to the Wii, I guess I could say, backwards compatibility has been something I've really enjoyed, and so therefore it's built up and become a big deal, and it's it's cross platforms and stuff like that. And so yeah, is it just me? Am I the only person who thinks it's a really useful feature, even if you own the other consoles? Or it's a nice little nod from the manufacturer, a throwback to people, not onwards and upwards, everything that existed before this console is obsolete now and we don't care. Is it relevant these days, I guess I should say, what with PlayStation 4 not having backward compatibility with PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2 compatibility? I'm a little bit rusty on PlayStation, but that's a streaming service. I mean, the fact that ultimately Sony, I guess they aren't going the same routes or pay, I guess they clearly don't have any sort of love or plans for making, their consoles backwards compatible boards, Never say never, obviously. So yeah, is it still a feature you like? Have you used it before? Is it been a deal breaker on buying a console or anything like that? I mean, is it just me that loves it? And obviously, for the majority now, the more powerful systems that are coming in now, and obviously at this point onwards, they're going to get insanely powerful. Why would you want to play something inferior? I mean, to me, convenience. But we'll go back a bit, right? Obviously PlayStation 1, absolutely loved and adored that. Check out my nostalgic Memories Of series. I covered the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2. Then PlayStation 2 came out and it allowed you to speed up load and it tweaked the graphics ever so slightly. And I thought that was a brilliant deal because, I had some absolutely amazing favourite games. I guess that's the key to my argument, is games you don't want to leave behind. And you've got to remember, obviously back then there was no online download service. But so, I could keep a handful of the PlayStation 1 games that I absolutely loved and adored. And then I never had a PlayStation 3, but I do remember when my brother got his original one and it was backwards compatible with the PlayStation 2 and 1. I thought that was really, really cool. That was really cool. But that was, to my knowledge, hardware, wasn't it? It was a PlayStation 2 chipset in there that was prone to overheating. So Sony removed it. They said they removed it because people no longer wanted it, which is that true? I mean, again, it relates to the topic of this video. Is that true? And then obviously I think PlayStation 1 back compatibility was still in there, but then obviously PlayStation 4 came out, no PlayStation 3 backwards compatibility. Same time Xbox One, and I know it's struggling against it, again, that's not the reason I bought, I don't care about, the most popular powerful system. It's not the reason I bought the Xbox One, backwards compatibility. Because in this journey, carrying on, I forgot, which is like the Wii. I got the Wii, and the Wii was GameCube backwards compatibility. And so then I sold my GameCube because they look better on the Wii, especially when you have the five, I forget, the 5-prong composite cables or whatever it was. It looked fantastic. It looked even better than it did on the GameCube. I've since reacquired it for the charm of having a GameCube, but that was great. So I sold off a lot of my GameCube collection, which as sort of a retro gamer now I regret, but then I didn't because I wasn't really a retro gamer. Hey kids, this is like, what, 11, 12 years ago? So yeah, it was just the sheer convenience of not having to own multiple systems to play the previous machines, gems, if you will. And then obviously the Wii U came out, and that was another feature for me that I loved, was the fact that I could play Wii games in HD. Obviously, I still kept my Wii at this point because, well, I am a multiple system guy at this point. But it was because of its soft-modded side more so than anything else, because I played any Wii game I wanted to play at that point on my Wii U because it looked great, and I was loving this. I was like, nice one, Nintendo, absolutely nice one. And if you soft-mod your Wii U, I know this isn't official, and I guess you can soft-mod everything, but it still doesn't mean it'll be backward compatible. Because it had Wii hardware in there, I guess, or something like that, you could play GameCube hardware was in the Wii, but if you soft-mod your Wii U, you could play GameCube games in HD, but it doesn't always make them look better, on the Wii U. So, I mean, this has always been something that I've enjoyed and benefited from, because, it's just nice. And if you take out the fact that most of us are collectors in some form or another, and so we have multiple systems, sometimes you don't want to have multiple systems set up and stuff. So that's why I bought an Xbox One, because I still have my 360, but it's not set up. If there's something I really want to play, then I'll set it up. But these are big consoles, your Xbox One, because it's not a slim, and your original 360, because mine, I should say, isn't a slim. These are big systems, and when you game as much as I do on multiple systems, space is a premium. I mean, I don't live in the fucking TARDIS. So backward compatibility is not just, convenient, it's almost a necessity. If you can get away without having to set up another system, then that's absolutely great. Now, you could argue that, well, what's the point of playing, original Xbox games on, the Xbox One? Again, convenience, all right, what is it? It's only 16 titles. I don't know how many 360 titles it is, but it's quite a large number. And obviously they're adding to it. But yeah, you could argue that having to play original Xbox One games on it, well, they look... I say original Xbox One, because we used to call it the Xbox One. You know what I mean? Original Xbox, OG Xbox games on it. Well, they look lovely, and I don't know, it's nice. It's this nod that Microsoft is kind of keeping its previous systems alive, and and I guess, I know, showing you some reward as a gamer. Because isn't it that Microsoft, I was watching it on one of their, on live, where they're going to make it so if you share the game, you can apparently local network an original Xbox, a 360 and an Xbox One for multiplayer, which to me is mind-blowing, and lots of people say that's overkill and unnecessary. I don't know, that's a nice touch, that's some attention to detail, and that's showing love. So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, PlayStation 4, are you gutted that it's not backwards compatible with PlayStation 3, or is it just like, I don't need it, I don't want it, I don't care for it, I've had that moment. We're onwards to bigger and better things, especially with the Pro being available, or again, is it just like, I'll set up my PlayStation 3, if I need to. I mean, I don't know, it's a nice little bonus for me. An added convenience factor is a great factor, that you don't have to start, sitting in a fucking ultimate, room waiting for an electrical fire to happen because you've got so much stuff set up. That's great, and obviously, like I said, not everything's ever going to be backward compatible, nor am I asking it for it, but Yeah, I think it's still relevant. I think it's a good thing. I think there must be more than just me who likes it and utilizes it, and it ticks the box for why he buys a specific console. Which is why I'm asking this question. I guess ultimately, it's not just for PlayStation 4 owners. I mean, you've got the PlayStation 2 live streaming thing on. Is that how you do it? But then that's ultimately not really backwards compatibility, and also ultimately dependent upon how bulletproof and amazing your internet connection is. And even though it's 2018, particularly in this country, there are lots of places which make that service absolutely unusable. Plus also, having hardware to run something, it's having it in-house, on hand is brilliant. Because if you're relying on the internet, which you could argue with this current generation of consoles, and the last cough unfinished games is a necessity. But if you don't have access to it, but you've like you set up your Xbox One or 360 and tried the game once, then being able to go straight back to the hardware to play it, even though granted I understand that it's software emulation, that's a brilliant thing. You're not truly 100% at the mercy of the internet, I guess. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? Is it a deal breaker? Is it not? Is it just me being more nostalgic and romanticizing over something that was sort of valid and useful once, because of the generation and the hardware of the time, but now is, especially with, streaming services, obsolete? I personally think it's a brilliant thing, and I love the fact that Microsoft is still showing love to it, taking it seriously and adding to it, and keeping their back catalogues alive, showing that all their products to them still relevant, because that also means a lot of the time when you jump to another generation, it's just like, thanks, we got your money then, but who cares, because now we got your money now, onwards and upwards. So yeah, I've waffled quite randomly, but backwards compatibility, is it still relevant? I mean, is it something you even care about, or is it something that is really, really important to you and a deal breaker? As always, I'd love to know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later.